Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Monday, November 27th, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin was up 5.29% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,616, a high of 9,678, and a low of 9,135. That's $1 for 10,442 Satoshis. We are now about to break the 10,000 Satoshi level. As you know, about a month ago, we started monitoring the Satoshi levels when it was around 20,000. This is an incredible advance for Bitcoin, or an incredible decline for the dollar. Top story, Wall Street Journal, Bitcoin surges past $9,000 in fastest 1,000-point milestone. Fear of missing out drives investors into frenzy. Bitcoin cracks 9,600 just hours after breaking the $9,000 price level. The digital currency has risen some 869% year to date. 10K Bitcoin by 2018? Looks like Tim Draper was right on the money. And unlike other people, Tim Draper put his money where his mouth is and invested heavily in Bitcoin, for which he'll be heavily rewarded. Bitcoin will be the safe haven during the next stock market crash, says experts. It's already become a safe haven for countries, as people attempting to escape Venezuela's inflation and other hyperinflation situations in the world now have a place to go. Much like the Cyprus collapse of 2013, the people have discovered a new safety valve and a new safe place for their money. That safe place is Bitcoin. Whether a stock market or a currency collapse, Bitcoin will be the new safe haven. Bitcoin is the world's 30th largest currency. Market cap nears Mastercard's 171 billion. The price just keeps growing and growing. And finally, 12.6 million viewers will hear about Bitcoin watching The Big Bang Theory. And here's the best part. The price of Bitcoin on the TV show is only $5,000. If the people Google Bitcoin online, they'll find that the price has almost doubled. Can you imagine that? And finally, we have Bitcoin Airlog's interview with Roger Ver. They attempted to discuss Bcash or Bitcoin Cash and why Roger prefers it to the original Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it got a little salty at the end, with Roger disagreeing with John very forcefully, saying that Roger says he's never hired a single sock puppet and he doesn't deserve to be insulted. He's insulted every time you call it Bcash, which I just see as a harmless abbreviation. But we also have a special guest today. We're joined by John Caravallo, Bitcoin Airlog, who just today interviewed Roger Ver. How's it going, John?
Hey, what's up, man? Just trying to rest. Been a long day.
Been a long day. So it seemed like a pretty fair interview. You were asking Roger why he thinks Bitcoin Cash, with its larger block sizes, lower fees, and presumably increased transaction volumes, is better than original, real Bitcoin, Bitcoin Core, whatever you want. What happened during the interview?
I don't know. I had a lot of talking points that I want to go through to him. I made notes of like all the things I wanted to cover. A lot of people wanted to hear him ask a lot of specific questions, and I did too. But in the end, it's hard to interview somebody like him because he sidesteps a lot, and so you kind of have to address all of the new things that he says, and then you kind of just want to keep moving on. But then he wants to hammer home a point. He has like a party line that he wants to do, and you have to kind of grind through it. So I definitely didn't get to talk about as much as I would have liked to. The end, I don't know. I'm not really proud of it, but I think I don't regret it either. Like he wanted to be triggered, and I honestly I say Bcash because I say it, not because like I'm trying to trigger him. And like the last time where I triggered him, it was totally not thinking about it at all, and he just couldn't handle it, I guess.
Well, and I find it surprising as someone who's been on the internet for a long time. Everyone knows that you don't expose yourself like this to the trolls. You don't say to the trolls, don't call it this or don't do this, because they're definitely going to do that. They're trolls. That's what they live for. And
Yeah,
with Bcash, I think Bitcoin Cash is a long name. I think it's 3 syllables, it's 2 words, it's a really long name. I think Bcash is a shorter name. I think it's a superior name in a lot of ways, and I've already predicted he'd be wearing it on T-shirts. He would be celebrating it, but instead they're going the other way. Do you think that their media, like let's say Roger is getting media training, would they
Yeah.
go over not to rage quit, not to flip off the audience, and not to get upset over something as simple as definitions? And we have all these things,
No, no.
Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, ACA. You call it all these different names, and then we have a debate anyway. I've never seen anyone flip out so much.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Roger has never really cared about like managing his whether he looks like a hypocrite or not. You know, he always is willing to say anything. So he's not worried about his image in regards to like his emotional state or reputation for like being trustworthy. He's trying to spam his message, and as long as he can like power spam the whole internet, he's going to get some ground. You know, he's going to get some people that fall into it, and that's really what I wanted to fight against. You know.
And Roger also seemed to say that you had to be a millionaire to talk to him. Do you believe
Yeah.
that you have to be a millionaire to talk to me? Should I be a millionaire to talk to you?
No, obviously that was not the topic, and I told him so. You know, he doesn't have any idea how much money I have or not anyway. You know, he just wanted to insult that I had an adult business and that I made less money than he did with it. Like, whatever, that's fine. But it has nothing to do with the topic. You know, I didn't get all upset when when he calls Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Segwit or Segwit coins. You know, it's his style. You know, and I think that when they do their marketing, it's not worrying about his image, it's worrying about keeping the party line. You know, it's worrying about maintaining a narrative.
And do you think this will negatively affect his image? If you were in South Korea or Japan, one of these areas that seems to believe the Bitcoin Cash line and believe that that's the real Bitcoin, would you see your hero, Roger Ver, going on some random YouTube show, breaking down, flipping off the camera, yelling, screaming, and rage quitting as a sign that your currency is clearly superior?
I mean, you would think so. I don't know how much it will propagate in foreign lands because of translation or how many of them speak English. But maybe that's why he focused on Korea. I don't know. But all of a sudden, this huge Korean exchange doing huge volume for all the things that he needs huge volume for, it appears, and and has this crash at the top, the website crashing. I don't know, man. Like, it's all a game. It's all a civil attack, basically, on Bitcoin constantly to try to reap whatever profits they can from the people that fall into it.
Now, one of the points Roger tried to make was that Bcash has more merchant support. To support this idea, he said that the exchanges had more transaction volume. Do you think that transaction volume on the exchanges equals merchant support?
No, I mean, there's possibly a correlation, but not one that can be measured in any way when you have wash trading. It's not really
So
useful.
if Roger pointed to a
Who
website
cares?
like Bitcoin.com selling T-shirts or Purse.io selling Amazon gift cards and said they'd switch to Bcash and they had legitimately more numbers, that would be an example of merchant support, right?
Well, who cares about merchant support? Like, I don't understand why he has to always make it about promoting Bitcoin and getting people to use Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin can just exist, and the people that are looking for that type of thing can use it. This isn't a Ponzi scheme. We don't have to like convince everyone to use it. I don't know. And he's Bitcoin Jesus, right? So he's trying to evangelize and get the whole world on Bitcoin, but maybe the whole world doesn't need Bitcoin. There's always going to be other monies, so I don't understand the problem.
It does feel like they've gone back to the original ways that all of us in Bitcoin tried to sell Bitcoin, small transactions, cheap transactions, currency. These were the original ways people attempted to sell Bitcoin, but as we know now, those ways failed. In the short term, we're not on an equal level playing field with credit cards. They have merchant adoption, they have airline miles, they have rewards, they have a built-in system that works pretty much throughout the world. We're not in a competitive position with credit cards, but we have become competitive in store of value. I think that we're competing with gold. I think that Bitcoin has advantages over gold. It's lighter. You can split it up. All these other, you can send it across the borders through the internet. Bitcoin's incredibly advantageous when compared with gold. and it seemed that the main track of Bitcoin was to continue this comparison to gold, while Bcash now wants to rerun merchant transactions. Do you think that with lower fees, with larger blocks, are merchants going to now say they're going to take Bitcoin Cash? Is that what they're missing?
Look, the concept of like, I'm going to kind of translate this into a topic I didn't get to talk about with him, which is how he's willing to make Bitcoin PayPal 2.0 if we have to. It's essentially what we're talking about. And the problem is this is just fundamentally not ever possible, because the main quality, the main difference of Bitcoin in any centralized effort is going to be that Bitcoin has redundancy. So it's always going to be less efficient and more expensive than doing a centralized alternative. So why are you going to fight that battle? Why are you going to say, I want to try to be MasterCard? You know? And the thing of it is even if we do just say, all right, let's at least see how close we can get. That's what Lightning Network is. That's what SegWit is helping with. You know, like, we are doing it. Like, what is the problem?
There's some that say they still need Bcash because it allows them to run their ASIC boost software. What do you think about that?
I think that came up in the interview, how, Bitcoin Cash still has malleable transactions, still allows ASIC boost. And I tried to bring up the point about, and I'm going to have someone help maybe write up something to get into more detail about what this means, to explain it to people, but how the lower difficulty setting, when they reset the way the difficulty is calculated, actually allows sort of a hack for miners to be able to resubmit previous work. And it helps them be able to span the blocks with using less energy.
And certainly their emergency difficulty algorithm allowed inflation on the Bcash chain, which, as you said, Coinbase users cannot sell their Bcash yet. So essentially, if the miners could produce as much Bcash as they can now, sell as much of it as they can before the Coinbase transaction comes in, they're essentially defrauding all of those Coinbase users who don't have an option to sell their Bcash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's fraud, but it certainly sucks. It sucks that Coinbase is waiting this long. I don't know why they do this.
Especially given their position with the most money, the whole floor and FIDI, the view of the bridge. They should be able to get some programmers and get on this, right? How can the smaller exchanges beat them in this? It makes no sense to me.
I don't know. Maybe it's a symptom of how centralized they are. Like, they're so big that they can't move, and that's why they don't like SegWit, and that's why they want on-chain scaling. Like, their systems are just too hard to keep up and update. I don't know, but like I said in my interview, we're very, very small, and we got SegWit going quickly. We had to actually write our own code to make it work. So, yeah, and I think that we're going to be adding that code, trying to add that code to the repository as well, because I don't know if it's been put in yet. But anyway, it's not that hard, you know what I mean? And they had a long time to do it, and they didn't do it. Instead, they fought. They fought with core developers, and the core developers don't even control anything anyway. It's still just a software download. It doesn't force people to run it.
And whether you support Bitcoin Cash or not allowing the Coinbase users to sell or hold or buy more of their Bitcoin Cash reduces our ability to find the true price of Bcash. With all these people forcibly on the sidelines, there's a class of people that has to hold by default. They don't get a choice.
Yeah, and that helps the price as well.
Mm-hmm. And now this is the second large-scale libertarian meltdown in an interview I've seen in the last 2 days. I just saw Richard Hart interview Bruce Fenton, and Bruce also got very upset and rage quit. Unfortunately, he didn't flick off the camera like Roger Ver, which is absolutely causing him a nightmare on Twitter. That's already become a meme. People have screen capped that middle finger. It's going around the world. Crypto Graffiti edited it into the Johnny Cash middle finger already.
I just saw it before I got on here. That was hilarious.
Oh, it's great stuff. And that's why you'd think someone like Roger, who could probably afford media training, would be told not to flip off the camera, not to rage quit, always to be polite, how badly these things can spiral out of control. But the same thing with Bruce, where Richard really got it down to him, and he said, I'm presenting a way to improve things. Net neutrality is a simple law that can improve things. It can keep the blocks not discriminated against, no discrimination. But for Bruce, it's like you can't improve things. You can't do anything. That the entire state system is bad and that you have to throw it out completely. And I really thought that they got to the core of libertarianism there. They got to this core of the government can't do anything good. John, do you think the
Yeah.
government can't do anything good?
I'm not really that big into politics or political persuasions like libertarianism, voluntarism, whatever. I do not spend time on it. It's not my interest. But I think that you said that you had these two guys had breakdowns over this stuff. It just sounds like religion to me. It sounds like I would rather focus on just reasoning my way through things. I didn't need a media trainer. I mean, maybe I made an ass out of myself, but I don't think you need a media trainer if you're just being honest, and that's really the issue. Or if you know what you're talking about, maybe Bruce is just more emotional about his political persuasion and it's not really logical. I don't know.
Well, I can sense their anger and their frustration. They're trying to explain their political ideas. It's not going well. You're not understanding them. Maybe they're not good at explaining their ideas. Maybe their ideas are no good. There's different levels to this. But they're trying to have a conversation. But to see them both get so agitated in the face of calm, reasoned questioning makes it look so much worse. Because it wasn't like you or Richard was badgering either of these guys. You were asking fair questions, using fair terms. This idea that Bitcoin Cash, Bcash has suddenly become an N-word type situation is very strange to me. And again, just exposing their weakness. I would just put Bcash on a hat. It's shorter. It fits better on T-shirts. It's one syllable. I'm not. I mean, yeah, like I don't think you should have the word Bitcoin. I'll debate that as a separate issue. But as a marketing branding perspective, Bcash is a cool word. I mean, if Bitcoin had been called Bcash, I might have gotten some sooner because it sounds like it's worth more than a bit of a coin. I've never liked that name.
I don't know. I mean, they obviously hate it, and I think it just like you said, it exposes their weakness. It gets right to the core of exactly what their game is, and the last thing they're going to let you do is pull the plug on their game. So their game is co-opting the Bitcoin brand. They know that the only value they have is the value they steal.
All right, I was hoping for some excellent questions from the audience, and I'll give about a couple of minutes right now if you guys want to get me some questions. But we do have a comment from We Smoke Bitcoins, who paid us $100 to get us to say that. He said, "Roger is a turd burger. Smoke weed."
Nice.
So thank you, We Smoke Bitcoins. That was a quote from the audience, a non-official position. Roger's fine. He just he needs some help. Also, I'm surprised, like, I imagine Bruce Fenton's pretty well off. We all know Roger Ver's allegedly a billionaire. John, if you were a billionaire, could I get you that upset? Or would you just sit on a beach relaxing all day? Like, is there any way, imagine like thought experiment, we're both billionaires. We don't really have a care in this world. Are you going to yell at anybody? I don't think I'm going to yell at anybody when I'm a billionaire.
I think once you get to a certain amount of money, it doesn't matter how much more you have. Once money stops solving problems for you, it just becomes luxuries. So for me, I don't know how different I would act if I had 1 million or 1 billion, but I wouldn't just vacation on beaches. I would have a lot of projects, and I would put that money back into society somehow. And the only way I can envision myself raging like that would be, if I didn't have a way to articulate myself, if I didn't have something backing what I was saying, I hope I never behave that way, but I am human. So I could act stupid too. I'm not entirely happy with how the interview went either. I could have been more tolerant, but once he was side railing everything and just doing all these quoting all the prices of Bcash and the volume and doing all his bullet points of why it's great near the end, I was just like, all right, this conversation is going nowhere, so why not?
Well, and I think it's worth noting we need to give Roger a little bit of credit here. If I was, obviously I'm not a Bitcoin millionaire. I work hard. I make YouTube videos. This is pretty much my job right now. But if I was a billionaire, I would never talk about Bitcoin. I would know that would put me on the government's radar. I would know that get me a lot of tax trouble, all these kind of things. So I imagine Roger really putting it out there, being the Bitcoin Jesus that we needed in those early years, talking to people, being a good representative on the news. We really thank him for this. It's unfortunate that he's gone over to his own project and this Bcash and that he's so angry about it. But we do want to laud him for what he did in the beginning and for talking about it, even though he's a billionaire and has a lot to lose. We have to recognize that.
I mean, there are a lot of guys like that, though, and personally, I know I got into Bitcoin about 5 years ago, and I don't remember a time where Roger Ver or Gavin Andresen or the usual suspects were actually doing all that much help for Bitcoin. They actually started this kind of behavior pretty long ago. Maybe probably before me. I know Roger is a few years ahead of me, but part of the way he was promoting it was all the stuff that we're now having to undo now. Talking about Bitcoin being cheap and fast, and everybody using it for the coffee. Like, those were the mistakes, and they were the ones propagating those mistakes. So
it does feel like there were some early attempts to oversell Bitcoin, microtransactions, things like that. We weren't really ready for, like we dreamed of in the future, and we still dream of now, but we're not really at microtransactions yet.
Yeah, maybe with Lightning we'll see, but I don't think that they're feasible right now. And that's why you see like Ryan X Charles with yours hopping coins, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna move to, I don't know, what do you do, Litecoin first or something?" Then he went to Bcash. I forget.
Yeah, he was on Bitcoin, Litecoin, Lightning Network, Bcash. I think there's been a lot of them.
Like, what's his plan? To just keep changing his payment method every time the coin he uses becomes successful? Like,
I'm afraid so. I'm not sure why he didn't just make a token at this point. It's pretty clear that Steemit is having a great success with their token and their 3 tokens and their whole system. So,
he probably will eventually.
Yeah, it might be too late.
He'll do ERC20 on Bitcoin Cash, and they'll all have their time.
Well, we can still wait. We do have some questions from the audience. Crypto Might says, "Is there a way to block Roger from spamming the meme pool?" I don't think there really is.
This is not my area, but I think they do optimizations on the mempool. But the thing is that you can choose your mempool personally, and it can be as large as you want. So you shouldn't really be worrying about people spamming the mempool. What you should be worrying about is whether they're paying the fee. Because as I said in the interview, the only way to differentiate spam from a transaction is if they pay the fee. And what you're really talking about is you don't like how expensive Bitcoin is, which is a different topic, and if that's the actual topic, we really have to think hard about whether or not we want Bitcoin to be the most secure, most expensive, most valuable thing and layer on top of it, or we want to have it be at the minimum amount of decentralization, the minimum amount of security, so it's the minimum cost, and still be not centralized. Like,
I also think that centralization can cause this spam problem. If I own 70% of the network and I pay to spam the network, I get 70% of that spam transactions back, or some, in that level.
That's a pretty good point, actually. Yeah,
it could be a rigged game, and obviously I'm losing 30% or maybe more. It's a random number, of course, but
it makes your fee lower.
Makes my fee lower, makes what it costs me to spam the network less. So.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point, and in a little pervasive way that minor centralization actually gets even stronger. Yeah.
We have another question. They say, "Do you think that Roger underestimated you in the debate?"
I don't know. I mean, he didn't underestimate me. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't have a plan. I think I was really worried that it was just going to either be really boring or that we were going to get into the weeds on stuff that neither of us were experts on. And it was good in the end, it was funny at the end, and we got memes out of it, and I did get to try to really hold him, accountable for certain aspects. Didn't get to do all of them, but yeah.
So I'm looking for more questions. How long have Roger and Jihan been dating? That's not a serious question. Let's see, is Tonvei Satoshi? It seems pretty unlikely. Could be like a Fight Club situation. Maybe he's sleeping at night and becoming Satoshi. Let's see. We're starting to run out of questions. I'm seeing John McAfee claims that Jihan owns more than half of all Bitcoins. What are the odds of that being anywhere near accurate?
0.
0. Would be good. Let's see. We're starting to run out of related questions, so we're going to end this here. John, where can people check out more about what you do?
I'm on Twitter at Bitcoin Errorlog. Also have a channel on YouTube if you search for Bitcoin Errorlog. Sometimes I'll hang out in Dragon's Den, or mostly you can find me in rooms on Telegram. And I have a project, which is an adult live streaming website called exotica.tv. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thanks so much, John. Everybody check those out. Check out John on Twitter. Just like to thank everybody for watching the show today. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. If it's your first time here, please subscribe down below. And if you'd like, you can pause the screen right now and donate some Bitcoin. Even 10 or 20 bucks would help. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow. Until next time, bye-bye.